Thanks so much for joining us here on the CBN News Channel. I'm Ephraim Graham.
And I'm Charlene Israel. Record spring flooding is still paralyzing parts of the Midwest. Residents are bracing themselves as more rivers are close to cresting, while in other areas, floodwaters are just beginning to recede. Heather Sells has the latest.
A week after the flooding started, the waters are still standing in many places, like in this neighborhood in northern Illinois. Farmers say it's still too wet to plant and expect lower yields when they do. And families everywhere are dealing with precious memories turned to trash.
I raised my daughters in this house and my grandkids. You know, they've been coming over since they were little.
Since they were born.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Pretty heartbreaking. Like, first load I picked up was a wedding dress, and you see the families up crying, so it's pretty hard.
The floods have also proved dangerous. In Michigan, fast rising waters turned into rapids, almost sweeping away this couple in their canoe. Along the Mississippi, waters are still rising, and flood warnings extend up and down the river from Wisconsin to Louisiana. They're catching drivers off guard.
It was over my seat because I was sitting crisscross in my seat and my behind started getting wet.
In Indiana, the Wabash River is threatening to breach levees.
We've been sandbagging all morning.
And in the Dakotas, a mix of snow and warm temperatures could bring the Red River to near record levels.
What's going to be happening in the Dakotas and Minnesota this weekend is going to be unbelievable. We still have over a foot of snow in some areas. Temperatures will be heading well into the 70s this weekend, and that snow will be rapidly melting.
And believe it or not, sequestration budget cuts may put some communities in danger of flooding at an even greater risk. The government will soon shut down more than 100 gauges that warn of imminent flooding. Heather Sells, CBN News.
And speaking of sequestration, Congress is trying to end the air traffic controller furloughs that are blamed for the widespread flight delays this week. The Senate voted last night to erase about $200 million in cuts to the Federal Aviation Administration. The House could decide on the measure today. The cuts came as part of the sequester designed to trim America's massive deficit spending. House Democratic leader Nancy Pelosi says she would rather cancel all $85 billion of those budget cuts.
The suspect in the Boston Marathon bombings has been moved from the hospital to prison. Johar Tsarnaev has been transported to a facility in Fort Devens, Massachusetts. Investigators say Tsarnaev admitted that New York was the next target. He told police that he and his brother Tamerlan planned to attack Times Square with pipe bombs and a pressure cooker bomb. The plan fell apart when their hijacked SUV ran low on fuel and the driver got away and called for help. Johar stopped talking after a federal judge read him his Miranda rights.
Newly released video from the attack on the Family Research Center last year. Here you can see as building manager Leo Johnson wrestles Floyd Corkins to the ground and takes the gun away from him, even after sustaining a direct hit to the arm. Corkins entered the building with a handgun and 100 rounds of ammunition. He's since confessed he planned to kill as many people as possible at the conservative lobbying group. In an FBI interrogation, Corkins explains why he chose the Family Research Council.
It was a Southern poverty law lists anti-gay groups. I found them online. Okay. A little bit of research on their website and stuff like that. Okay.
Despite being connected in federal court to a domestic terrorism conviction, the Southern Poverty Law Center has refused to remove the Family Research Council as a hate group from its target map.
The U.S. government's ongoing plan to buy massive amounts of ammunition is raising concerns on Capitol Hill. House Republicans started investigating the issue Thursday. A top Homeland Security official admitted the department currently has stockpiled about 250 million rounds of ammunition. Fox News reports Congressman Jason Chaffetz says there's no good explanation for that. Chaffetz says that the department buys 1,000 more rounds per federal agent than a soldier uses in the U.S. Army.
Democrats in Congress say they are not seeking any exemptions from Obamacare. That statement comes after reports that leaders from both parties were trying to create an exemption for members of Congress and their staffs from a key requirement in the law. one that would require them to buy health care through insurance exchanges. That would cost them thousands of dollars. Republicans blasted Democrats for trying to get out from under the law they passed, but now TheHill.com reports Democratic leaders say they don't want an exemption and won't support one if it is proposed.
It is a sight rarely seen. 5 presidents took the stage in Dallas, Texas Thursday to dedicate the George W. Bush Presidential Library. And a new poll shows that former President George W. Bush is more popular now than when he left office. Dale Hurd has the story.
4 years after leaving office, former President George W. Bush celebrated the dedication of his presidential library and museum today, before a crowd of 10,000 people at the SMU campus in Dallas.
Franklin Roosevelt once described the dedication of a library as an act of faith. I dedicate this library with an unshakable faith in the future of our country.
The library will have a unique design, inviting museum goers to face the same tough choices Bush had to make through interactive exhibits with deadlines and ticking clocks. Laura Bush helped design the brick and limestone complex with many statues on display, including this one of father and son. All 5 living presidents put partisan politics aside to honor the 43rd president, including the 44th, President Obama.
Mr. President, for your service, for your courage, for your sense of humor, and most of all, for your love of country, thank you very much. From all the citizens of the United States of America, God bless you. And God bless these United States.
Presidents Carter and Clinton praised Bush for his fight against AIDS in Africa. Bush Sr. in a wheelchair gave just a 24-second speech and then jokingly asked his son if it was too long. George W. Bush ended his speech with his love for and faith in America, and then began to break down in tears.
Whatever challenges come before us, I will always believe our nation's best days lie ahead. God bless.
Dale Hurd, CBN News.
Senator John McCain is calling for the White House to take action against Syria. The administration has revealed that Syria's government used chemical weapons on its own people at least twice. Now McCain is calling for a no-fly zone and to secure weapons to keep them out of the hands of jihadis.
Finally, we have to have operational capability to secure these chemical weapons stocks. We do not want them to fall into the wrong hands. And the wrong hands are a number of participants in the struggle that's taking place in Syria.
Democratic Senator Dick Durbin also says something has to be done. CBN News has new information about the circumstances behind the release of an imprisoned Iraqi pastor. After 21 months in jail, Pastor Jamal was freed due to a bold move by a U.S. ministry.
That's right. World Compassion President Terry Law says concern for the pastor's health led him to make the personal visit to Iraq and to obtain a letter from Senator James Inhofe requesting his release. He told Chief International Reporter Gary Lane what happened next.
When the government leaders actually saw the letter, it had great impact. When we appealed for him, we did not do it on guilty or innocent. We did it purely on the basis that the man was probably going to die. And on a humanitarian basis, we pled with the authorities there to turn him loose.
And Terry, how have you seen God's hand in this entire situation, in him getting his freedom?
Well, when we walked in to meet Kareem Sinjari, Jerry, I didn't know what to do. I'd never done this before. I'd never appealed for a man's life. And when I walked into this palatial building to meet with the Minister of the Interior, Kareem Sinjari, I had been praying. I wanted God's wisdom. I felt like we were offering the Kurdish government an opportunity to be shown around the world as a place of openness for the gospel. When Kareem Sinjari said, I know several hundred Muslims who have proselytized to Christianity, I couldn't believe my ears. It was shocking. And he said, we are going to demand freedom of religion here in the future. And again, repeated that we are the American success story in Kurdistan.
Law says he recently learned that God has healed the pastor.
I found out a day and a half ago that in the European city where we took Jamal, they've given him an MRI. They've examined him from every direction, and the incredible report is that he does not have a brain tumor. So Jamal is not a sick man. He is a well man about to have an open door to do what the Lord has for him in the future. It's an unbelievable story.
Coming up, disaster relief drill. Hundreds of actors help a relief agency train others in disaster response.
Today we're on a field trip to discover what inflation is doing to our paper money. In this hand is a $20 bill, and in this hand is a $20 US gold coin. They used to have the same buying power, but how much can they buy today? In this first basket is what my $20 bill buys: milk, bread, peanut butter, and jelly. And here's what one $20 gold coin will buy: 6 baskets full, worth nearly $2,000, almost 100 times more food, simply by owning gold dollars instead of paper dollars. History shows that the gold coins have been the best way to beat the rising cost of living. So class, the moral is that unless you want to live on peanut butter and jelly sandwiches in the future, you should turn some paper dollars into gold coins now. How and why is explained in a new book, The Great Debasement. Call the number below for a totally free copy. And that's the simple truth.
Help! If an emergency happened right now, you can have help at the push of a button with Medical Alert.
Remember when I took that fall, Mary?
Oh, yes, that was terrible.
Yes, it was. Help! And I thought, what if you hadn't been there? I ordered my Medical Alert the next day.
I can't describe how safe I feel now with my Medical Alert. You didn't know I was wearing it, did you?
Medical Alert is easy to install, waterproof, and covers you inside your home and out.
It helps me feel safe from fires, break-ins.
And of course, a Medical Alert. And if you don't have a home phone, don't worry. They have that covered.
There's always help at the push of a button. Don't wait till you need it.
Get Medical Alert for less than $1 a day. There are no long-term contracts. Order now and get your second button free. Call for your free brochure.
For your free Medical Alert system with second button free, call 800-575-8507.
This week, experts from aid and relief organizations across the globe are responding to an earthquake in South Carolina. It's not a real disaster, but a simulated one created to train aid workers to respond to real-life emergencies. The 6 days of hands-on training is a graduate-level course designed by the Christian International Relief Agency Samaritan's Purse. Ken Isaacs oversees training and development for Samaritan's Purse's disaster response teams, and he joins us now by Skype to tell us more. Ken, you have 20 years experience working in disaster and emergency response. What's the most important thing someone responding to a disaster can do to help someone to survive?
Well, I think the most important thing is to be prepared. Every disaster is different. People's needs are different. And the breadth of information that is needed to have an effective response, it has to be customized for each type of disaster.
Definitely. Well, Samaritan's Purse is holding this training exercise. Who is it for, and how will it help them respond to a disaster situation?
Well, the disaster training simulation that we're holding this week has 60 students in it. By tomorrow, we will have had a total of nearly 800 volunteer actors, and we've sort of put all of this together in a series of these field exercises that really enhance the practical skills and take the academic information and let our students know how to put it to work.
Well, you're overseeing, as you mentioned, a huge mock drill simulating an earthquake. There are around 500 volunteers taking part, acting as victims and community leaders. How's that going? Tell us about that.
We have 5 teams on the ground, and we call them DART teams, Disaster Assistance Response Teams. And today they did a blanket, tarp, and water distribution. And the actors were scripted so that if the right questions weren't asked, the social pressure increased, and it could turn into a riot. Out of the 5 DART teams, 4 of them had riots. There were a couple of plants in the script. One lady had 2 children and one had 7, and the one with the 2 children lied, and she had gotten more blankets than the one with the 7 children. And by not having pursued the truth of that when they were creating the beneficiary list, it caused a friction between 2 of the beneficiaries that was the spark that turned into a broad riot. So identifying the neediest people, vetting the information, figuring out the appropriate type of assistance, how that distribution is going to be made, all of those involve decisions about who will receive what resources. And you want to be fair, you want to be judicious, and you need to be fast.
Ken, what are the next steps for the participants there? Is there a follow-up for them?
Well, when they finish this course, their name will be on the hot list, the roster of people to be called forward for the DART teams. And if you imagine that sort of like a volunteer fire department, and then we'll stand up our incident command center at our offices in Boone, North Carolina. It all comes together and wrapped in a lot of prayer, and we always seek God's blessing. We're able to have very effective disaster response mechanisms.
Very important stuff you're doing. We wish you all the best in it. Ken Isaacs, thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Up next, hundreds of thousands of men are finding new life at this South African farm. See what happens when ordinary people meet an extraordinary God.
Attention sleep apnea patients. Are you tired of the expense and hassle of getting your CPAP and BiPAP supplies? Are you fed up with dealing with ill-fitting, leaking, or worn-out masks and straps? Are you worried about the effects that unsanitary tubes, cushions, and filters have on your health? If you said yes to any of these questions, Allied Medical Supply Network has the solution to your problems. You could qualify to have your supplies regularly delivered right to your door at little or no cost to you. That's right, no more inconvenience, no worn-out masks and straps, no more unsanitary equipment, just restful sleep. Call Allied Medical Supply Network today to determine if you may qualify to receive your fresh, brand-name supplies at little or no cost. Don't delay. Call us now to see if you are eligible to save money on regular delivery of your CPAP and BiPAP supplies. Call 1-800-815-9947. That's 1-800-815-9947. Or go to cpapsupplyhelpline.com.
Announcing an important breakthrough in healthcare that can benefit everyone. If you or anyone you love needs affordable health insurance, regardless of a pre-existing medical condition, call Quick Insurance 123 today and get the immediate relief you deserve. Quick Insurance 123 was created to provide affordable health insurance to all uninsured Americans, with or without pre-existing conditions. This is not a discount card. This is a real insurance program that lets you choose from many affordable health plans, with access to doctors, hospitals, emergency services, and more. So call the number on your screen now and get the health coverage you need just for calling. As a special bonus, we'll send you a free prescription savings card that could save you up to 85% on your prescriptions. That's right, you could save up to 85% on your prescriptions just for calling. Call Quick Insurance 123 to find out how you can get affordable health insurance and receive your free prescription savings card just for calling. Don't wait. Getting a free quote is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Call today.
God often uses ordinary people to do extraordinary work. And it's a concept that Angus Buchan knows very well.
That's right. He started out as a maize and cattle farmer in South Africa. Now he hosts an annual gathering known as the Mighty Men Conference, where every year more than 400,000 men and boys gather to worship and connect with God. The new film Angus Buchan's Ordinary People was inspired by his inspirational true story.
I used to dream of preaching to thousands of people.
Amen! Amen! Angus Buchan may have dreamt of preaching, but he had no idea how God would use that dream. The film, Angus Buchan's Ordinary People, is based on the real stories of 3 men who Buchan touched through his Mighty Men Conference. It's a story of how God changes lives.
God caught up with me. And he tied me to a tree, just like you. And he came at me with a shambok, just like I am coming at you. now today. But I did not get the lesson that I deserved, because he told me about his son, Jesus, and that he would take the shambok for me if I would only choose.
What do you want me to do?
I want you to stop drinking. Or I'm out of here.
No, that's my life, Dad! Back off!
Now you must choose. I happen to be going to a great gathering of men. Now you can come with me, or I can hand you over to the police.
A desperate criminal, a man caught between grief and debt, and a young alcoholic trying to escape his misery. 3 men searching for hope.
You need to start doing what God's told you to do. And that's why some of us here today are unhappy. Because you're in the wrong place, my boy.
It's a story of mercy, purpose, faith, and one farmer's spiritual transformation that led to a conference full of mighty men seeking God. Angus Buchan joins us now for more. Angus, these stories from ordinary people are based on real life. Is this the typical kind of change that takes place at your men's conferences?
Absolutely, Ephraim. It's miraculous. God's no respecter of persons. He uses, excuse the pun, ordinary people to do his mighty miracles.
Now, you have seen these events increase from thousands to hundreds of thousands in just a few years. What explains the growth?
Yeah, it's got to be God, Ephraim. There's no big names. There's no draw cards. God just started, he spoke to me in 2003. He said that I have forsaken my first love. I need to repent and I need to get back to basics. And so I did. I said, Lord, what do I do now? I canceled every one of my preaching appointments. And I felt the Lord say, I want you to mentor young men. There are very few spiritual fathers in the nation. I'm talking about South Africa as it was then. I came home and I sent out one email. Now, Ephraim, I'm an evangelist. I know how to advertise. And the first meeting we had, 240 men arrived. And the last meeting we had in 2010, the Lord said to me, I don't want you to count heads. What happened to David when he did a census? And so I can tell you that there were multitudes and multitudes of men. More men arrived here, Ephraim, on this farm than the whole defense force of South Africa put together. That's Army, Air Force, and Navy.
Wow, amazing. So what's the greatest need that these men have today?
I think they're needing role models, Ephraim. They're needing men that will get back to basics. Young men want the truth. They want it straight and they want it from the shoulder. And that's why we speak to men. Most of the people that respond to these meetings afterwards with letters, emails, Facebook messages are women and children. The type of things that we get, make you want to weep. For example, one lady would write and say, the man that I fell in love with 20 years ago came back this weekend. And to get a little girl of maybe 10 years old, with that big handwriting saying, Dear Uncle Angus, thank you for giving me a brand new daddy. That's what makes me keep going, Ephraim.
So what does the world need from men at this time?
I believe the world is looking for men who will stand up and be counted. Men who will be prepared to speak the truth unashamedly.
Now, the film Ordinary People also tells your story, how you dreamed of preaching to thousands and how God brought that dream to pass. How did God work in your life to make that happen?
I used to dream of preaching to people. So I would get in my pickup and I'd go to the cornfields here on the farm, and I would start preaching to the corn. I would preach my heart out, and the Lord would bring a gentle wind, and all the corn heads would bow their heads. In 2010, in that same spot, when I was preaching to the corn, they'd put up a massive platform. Okay, and I was looking out, and I've got good eyes, And as far as my natural eye could see, Ephraim, I just saw men's heads, just men. And it was like the Holy Spirit said to me, Angus, remember when you used to preach to the corn? And I'm saying, yes, Lord, I'm preaching, by the way, but he's talking to me in my spirit. He says, well, there they are. Your prayers have been answered.
Angus Buchan, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
God bless you.
God bless you. Angus Buchan is coming to the U.S. He'll preach at a men's gathering in Murfreesboro, Tennessee on May 3rd.
When you're driving along and your cell phone rings, do your eyes instantly go off the road? Then you need to get a grip. Hi, David Jones here with the new Grip Go, the most versatile hands-free mount that will instantly grip any phone for safe driving. Just attach the suction cup to your windshield or dash, and Grip Go grabs your phone ultra fast. Then it peels right off. And don't worry, there's no sticky residue left behind. The 360-degree pivoting mount allows you to always get the perfect viewing angle. It's even strong enough to grab and hold this expensive smartphone out the window. Yet it comes right off with ease. That's the advantage of Grip Go. You can get the amazing Grip Go with dashboard mount for only $14.95. We'll send you a second kit free. Just pay separate processing and handling. Get 2 complete Grip Go systems for just $14.95.
To order Grip Go for $14.95 plus processing and handling, call 1-800-709-5259 or order online at getgripgo.com.
Jim is 38, mortgage, married, 3 great kids. He wants to protect his family with a $500,000 term life insurance policy. What do you think it'll cost him? $100 a month? 60? 40? Actually, none of the above. Jim can get a $500,000 policy from a highly rated insurer for under $19 a month. His secret? SelectQuote. SelectQuote is impartial. They'll comparison shop the pick of insurance companies like these to give you a choice of your best prices. SelectQuote has great savings on term life for women, too. Jim's wife, Deidre, can get a $500,000 policy for under $16 a month. SelectQuote has helped make term life insurance affordable for hundreds of thousands of people since 1985. How about you? Just call this number or go to SelectQuote.com. SelectQuote. We shop, you save.
Victims of the earthquake that shook China's Sichuan province are getting some help from CBN Disaster Relief.
That's right. The quake killed nearly 200 people and injured thousands. CBN Disaster Relief is responding with free medical service and relief aid. Teams in Sichuan are giving out bags of rice, cooking oil, and soup mix, along with soap, toiletry items, and clothing. And medical professionals are giving free examinations and treatment. The ministry is serving some 137 families in that region. God bless them each one.
Indeed.
Definitely. Well, that's all for now on the CBN News Channel. You can find more of our exclusive coverage of the issues you care most about at cbnnews.com.
And take the time to tell us what you think about the stories you've seen here today. You can do that on Facebook or at CBN News on Twitter. Hope you'll join us again right here next time. Have a fabulous Friday and a wonderful weekend.
If you had a choice between going bald and a full head of hair, which would you choose? Advances in medical science have resulted in the world's first and only permanent solution to hair loss.
Yes!
You wash it, you cut it. It's your own real, naturally growing hair. When it comes to hair restoration, no one in the world has more experience than Bosley. The results look completely natural and are affordable on nearly any budget. But the entire process can't be explained in 60 brief seconds. So to find out more about this clinically proven and permanent solution to hair loss, call now to receive your free no-obligation information kit. It'll answer all of your questions about hair loss and hair restoration. Plus, we'll also send you this $250 gift certificate just for calling. Every day you wait, you're losing more hair. So don't put it off any longer. You owe it to yourself to find out the facts. Choose hair. Choose Bosley.
Call 800-868-9957. That's 800-868-9957. Introducing the CBN Bible from CBN.com. Now, an easier way to study the Bible and grow in your faith. Highlight your favorite verse. Read separate versions at a glance. Click and read a commentary. or cross-reference your favorite verse using the Strong's Concordance. All the right tools to study the Bible, all in one place. The CBN Bible, available at cbn.com/Bible or the iTunes App Store.